on this computer. Okay. All right. So how I've started this with our other gatherings is that the first thing you all need to know or do is to make sure you've talked with your session to find out if what the reentry plan is. So whether or not you're going to be doing virtual Sunday school or if you're going to try to do in-person Sunday school. My church is relatively small, so we have decided to try in person starting September 13th. And we will either be outside or in our fellowship hall where we can spread out. We won't be downstairs in the basement in our Sunday school classrooms just because those spaces are smaller. We feel that the fellowship hall just lends itself to better space. But the next step before we officially do that is we're going to poll the parents. So our Christian Ed committee just met on Tuesday night. Where we said, okay, this is, if everything moves forward the way we'd like to, this is what our goal is. So we're going to poll our parents and just see who's comfortable doing which one. So we might have some parents that are like, yeah, my kid's going back to school, Sunday school in person is fine. We might have some families that say absolutely not. We have too many health issues. And so we're already talking about how to hybrid. Do we have enough teachers? Well, we only have 3 classes. So, and we do have enough Zoom accounts that we can do both and. So if the kids are there, we can Zoom the other kids in if they want to participate that way. So that's kind of our attempt to get started in September. And so, basically, what does your session say? What do your parents say? And then decide what you want to do from that part forward. So I don't know, with you all, have your groups decided one way or another what you're planning to do in person or virtual?
We have a task force, and we just got stage 1 approved by the Presbytery. So we are now in the process of putting stickers on the floor. Okay, so our first thing is going to be an outdoor worship service. Okay, so the kids are really not until we get into stage 3. So I have a while. I have a while to go.
Okay.
So I've been doing it every Sunday online. I may switch the time. I don't. We sent out a survey 2 weeks ago, so we're hopefully going to get more back. But
Cindy, what was the survey that you sent out?
I sent out a
to?
survey. If you want, I can send you a copy. It had 6 questions. It was how comfortable are you to attend a worship service if we followed the task force recommendation and social distancing? Are you comfortable with the kids come? Will your child continue if we have to continue online? Will your child continue? There were 6 questions, and then at the bottom there were some open-ended questions where they actually have to write in. But I'll be more than happy to send it to you if you want.
I would like a copy.
Okay, here's what you do. You guys send me your email, and I will send you a copy tonight.
Can we put it in the group chat?
I was going to say, if you respond all to that email that was sent out.
I'm not on that email.
Are you all on that email?
I am, and I would love a copy.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we all are.
Okay.
I am not.
You are not. Okay.
Stephen, I can forward it to you.
Do you have my email, or do you want me to put it in the chat?
Stephen, it's Carrie. I have your email, so I can definitely forward it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So yeah, Cindy, if you just want to reply all, because there's probably some people that couldn't come in today that would love to see that.
Okay. And I also have like really specific steps all laid out for when we do open the kids. I don't know if anybody wants to see that, both for volunteers and children. So, but I'll definitely send you the survey.
Send us everything,
Yeah,
Cindy.
send us everything.
All resources gratefully accepted.
We'll
Yeah,
send you everything tonight after we're done here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
thank you.
awesome, considering our pastor's on leave until end of September. So any help would be great.
No problem.
Yeah, we're outside right now, and we're just starting to work on how to get in the building. So we haven't even, I don't think we've even approached the subject of children and classes.
Yeah.
I don't think we're even thinking of getting back into the sanctuary till mid to late November.
We're talking the end of September, October.
Yeah.
Weather
Permitting.
prevailing. Yeah,
Yeah, we've been Zooming and recording for YouTube.
we have Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we are not going back into we have a task force as well, and we are not going back into the building till January the earliest.
That's
So,
what I think we're heading.
and they're even talking about probably March, but they wanted to for January in case things got better. But we have a lot of older
Yeah.
people in our congregation. So anyway, I'm having VBS this week virtually. And so I've been extremely busy, but I'm going to start planning my fall for all virtual Sunday school. And I'm going to make up some kits like I did for VBS and put all the materials in there, then send out the curriculum. And we're thinking about having 3 different groups, like a third to 5th grade group, first, second, like I do for my normal Sunday school, and a pre-K class, and then have different teachers teaching that for like 20 minutes at a time. And then I'm doing a midweek, Tuesday midweek program as well. But at least we have a plan, like we know we're not going back into the building, so I could plan accordingly.
This is Robin, and we don't have any firm plans yet, but I'm hoping that we can do some stuff outside, because I don't anticipate us being able to get back into the building until I don't know when, but I'm hoping while the weather's nice that we can do some activities outside.
This is Stephen. Maybe this is a good segue. Are you all thinking about the difference in Christian education classes and age groups? So I realize that older children, adults are able to do online classes, but what about like the beginners classes? Is there any good thoughts on what to do for that particular age group?
You mean the youngest ones?
Yeah, so where social distancing is going to be more of an issue because they're not going to, want to, because again, because of their age, I'm talking, preschool, kindergarten, maybe first grade, that particular age group.
So Stephen, what we talked about with our Christian Ed group is, if we do get that age group together outside, that we're just going to encourage parents to stay and help us with that. So like our kickoff, we like to do a mission type of project for our kickoff. And so we're going to just make snack bags for the soup kitchen where everything's prepackaged, but it's going to have to be family units that put the stuff into paper bags for us. And that's what we found for our hybrid VBS. We had the parents really just go. We had very small groups, and the parents just kind of helped. And it made a world of difference by having those younger kids, having their parents stay with them, because they wanted to hug and they wanted to touch, but then they could do that to the parent.
Right,
so I guess it
right.
also depends on what time your Sunday school program is. So if it's during worship, that might not be as viable as if it's done a totally separate time from worship.
Right, and that would be my next question is how often are you thinking about meeting and when? would be the two questions.
Yeah, I think that's a good one for the survey. I think in that first group, Cindy, that you and I were part of, we talked about how, in a way, this gives us some flexibility on when we hold Sunday school. And there might be for families that Sunday morning at 9 a.m. just is not ideal because they're tired and this is draining, and maybe Sunday at 11:30 after worship is going to work better.
Right.
So that might be something to add to a survey.
Yes.
To find out
Yeah.
what is a
I
viable
have that on
time.
my survey, the best time. Right now, I'm doing it at noon.
Okay.
One thing that my CE talked about was they were thinking they want to do it every week. They don't want to do it. Someone suggested, well, maybe we could do it every other week and we'll get more kids if we have to be online. But the CE committee felt that would be confusing. So they wanted to stick to at least once a week.
What we did, and I know that it almost took a step back for me, but just the feedback from the few parents that I have, it was, I'm done with being on a computer.
Right.
Yes.
So we actually, our VBS, we went honestly very old school. We found coloring books and some craft kits. And we didn't actually do a VBS per se, but they did coloring books and craft kits, crayons, and we sent the packets home. So there's no regrouping and showing what they did, but it was just a way to let the kids not be in front of a computer. And during the last few weeks, up until like June, I just literally took the Sermons for Kids weekly sermon and their little bulletin, and I posted that with activities and the coloring page and let the kids and the parents work through it. Sometimes they responded with their pictures, sometimes they didn't, but it was just getting them the message was there, and hopefully the parents were helping get through it. You know, that's the hard part, is how are we really getting through to the kids when, you know, like the parents are done being on a computer watching the kids over their shoulder. I don't know if anyone else is having that, running into that either.
I've been using Lessons That Work. It's an Episcopal site, and it's liturgical, so they have a lesson on it for older children and younger children. So I've been modifying that, and every Wednesday I send home a family lesson.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's what I've been doing. I write my families twice a week, and on Wednesdays they get a family lesson. So,
Okay.
but it's Lessons That Work is the name of the site.
Okay, and Sermons for Kids is also liturgical too.
Okay, so much for kids?
No, sermons.
Oh, Sermons for Kids. Sorry.
Yeah, sermons with the number 4 kids.
Right. Okay, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
it's a good one. Cindy, what was yours again? Lessons, what did you say?
Lessons That Work. And
That work.
you'll see, it says year ABC, and then it says, you click on one of them and it has the sermon. And then when you click it on, it'll have a different lesson for younger children and then for older children. That's what I liked about it, because I could include both for those parents that had, little kids and an older kid.
Sermons for Kids is similar to that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, APSI, which is a Christian Ed conference group, had a Zoom call like this. And so we had Christian educators from all across the country gathering together to have this exact same conversation. And they are across the board saying the same thing that you are, that parents are, everybody's had the Zoom fatigue, but those little kits that can go home are really meaningful. And so, if there's a way to package little things and maybe do 2 weeks at a time or a week at a time or however it works for you all, it reminds them that you're thinking about them. They haven't been forgotten in the midst of this by their church. And then it gives them the opportunity that they can do it if they have time or not, or they, and at their own pace. So that's definitely, Cindy, what you're talking about, and a good tool. one of the women on my little discussion group from the APSI said that the things geared towards the families, like you just mentioned, actually she was getting the best success from. She found some sort of prayer cube, she called it, and that if they use it for your dinner blessing, I guess you roll the cube and it has either like a question or something on it. I couldn't find it online, so I'm not really sure what it is, but she called it a prayer cube.
It almost sounds like an old-fashioned Chinese fortune cookie.
Yeah, one of those
So
little
crazy
things.
ball, like you shake it and it says, you know, like, what did you eat for lunch today? You know, maybe it says, you know, say one thing that you're grateful for today, and everyone in the family has to say something. I don't know, but she said that that was really positive from her group. So yeah, so there's those resources.
Yeah, I found, well, my VBS this week, I made kits and then I made a series of videos for each day. And I've been getting a lot of feedback that the parent, so it's what's nice about VBS this year is that the families are doing it together, which typically it's just the kids, right? So that's a blessing, I'll say. And they really are enjoying doing all, I mean, I have crafts for different ages, depending, you know, they can make it more complicated or less complicated. And the kids are really enjoying that. So I've been getting a lot of feedback. And in the very beginning, I had found this thing called Takeout Church. I don't know if you saw this resource online, but it's very cute. And it's almost like a flat Stanley, but with Jesus. And then I put together kits with that. And it's really supposed to be for the summer when you don't have the kids every week for Sunday school. But I geared it towards the pandemic. So I tried to put in like prayers with candy and different activities they can do. And just to keep them engaged. And every week I would put up like read a Bible story and then have an open-ended question and a little craft to go with it. Just to try to, even if they don't do it every week, they knew that we were there for them. And if they wanted to use that resource, they could. I know everybody in the beginning was getting zoomed out by the time, you know, June came. But I think now that I'm doing VBS, they're kind of excited again to get back on. And so that's what I plan on doing again. They love, we had the older, the senior high ministry, they delivered all the VBS kits to all the kids, which was kind of fun. And it gave them a service project to do. And the kids loved getting all these special treats delivered to their house.
Okay. So you went to every child's house and delivered these?
Not
kits?
me personally, the older kids with
Okay.
their parents drove around. So we gave them all like 10 or 15 names and they were more than happy to do that. We were going to do a drive-in, like a pickup station. And I might do that for the fall. I don't know yet, depending on whether or not I have more volunteers. So, but they really did enjoy that. And I also did a scavenger hunt, a socially distanced scavenger hunt where I put these little ducks around the church. And then they had to spell out a Bible verse to get them ready for a VBS. And then as they're solving that, I go around and I drop off little prizes at their houses. So they're getting little things, which it's exciting to them, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to a thought I had when Cindy was talking about if the bringing stuff home and letting the families work on it together. One of the things that came up, I can't remember if it was in the conversation here last week, was to encourage families, if the kids are doing coloring or if they are doing crafts at home, to take a picture and then send the picture back to someone and either create a little video to post on the church Facebook page or to somehow include it in the worship if you're doing you know, pre-recording. I think I've just figured out how to add things in, like after Facebook Live and I put it onto YouTube. I think I've now figured out how to make like a nice intro picture and like I'm experimenting here, but there could be the opportunity for me to put, you know, and here's stuff from the kids and give them a piece of the ownership. Because people, you know, kids like to see their stuff.
Yeah, we've done virtual coffee hours.
Uh-huh.
And we've actually encouraged the kids to show off their wares there.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, because sometimes they're in the other room and not a part of coffee hour. But we've also encouraged that too. So that's another place we've also done.
We also have a midweek moment every week. So we ask families to post, make little videos of what they've been doing and where they see God sightings and just what they've been grateful for. And so our children have been making little videos and then posting them. Once a week, a family takes a slot, and they've been doing that. It's not always family. Sometimes it's us doing something, but mostly families. So that, and that the older congregation gets a kick out of it because they see the kids. And then for VBS, has anybody used Flipgrid? I know that's something that they've been using in schools. And so we're using that for VBS for the kids to post like what they're doing, but I haven't gotten the hang of it personally. I was hoping that it would be more interactive than I'm able to do, but they've been posting little videos to each other, so it's a nice way for them to connect.
Yeah, my elementary school daughter was using it last spring, but I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yes, somebody said, a teacher who's on our committee set it up, because I really struggled
Okay,
with
yeah.
that kind of thing. But I think it is a good, and there might even be a better platform, I think, than Flipgrid, but where the kids can share their artwork or their stories with each other.
And I don't want to divert, but older kids, I mean, not just elementary age, what are folks doing?
With our, actually, when we did our VBS, what we did was we found older, like the other older coloring books and journals. They're all Christian based, and we gave them to the older kids so they had them as well. I'm not sure. I haven't decided on our approach for the fall. It could be some kind of I don't know what kind of lessons we're going to do. To be honest, I'm not sure how I'm going to approach it, but I think it'd be more homework entailed, or some kind of better lesson, a little more in thought is what I'm thinking, but I haven't gotten past anyone else as to what we want to do. So you're hearing it first as I'm thinking it first.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know people have talked about just trying to get them together virtually for fellowship, and there's some of these virtual escape rooms. There's a program called Out School that has a bunch of escape rooms on it, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think it was about $15 a kid, which is what you're going to pay at the mall, I think. Maybe more at the mall, I don't know.
At the mall.
But so the escape rooms. I've been trying to get my older kids together to. We did a soup kitchen day, so we were together. We socially distanced and cooked food for one of the soup kitchens. And then I also brought them over to the church and had them do some painting that needed to be done, which they just loved doing that stuff. It wasn't really Bible study or anything. But it was getting them together, and we had, pizzas. We all sat at one corner of the table, and
You're at least getting in the building. They're discouraging additional in our buildings.
well, the painting was outside. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
The cooking obviously was inside. We had 2 adults and 4 kids for the cooking, and we all wore masks. But yeah.
What age group was that?
That was my high schoolers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the high school, Kathy, I should have invited Kathy to be on this, but she did 2 work camps, and they, usually they go to Maine, they couldn't. So they did have some in-person thing, but for my, they don't really want in-person anything, but Session did approve 2 in-person gatherings where they just social distance and they just got to have some fellowship time, but they wouldn't let them do anything else. Even they put together some stuff for the soup kitchen, but they weren't allowed to go into the soup kitchen. They're very careful about that.
Yeah,
and
we
then
couldn't go in either. We just cooked.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, and they won't let us in our building at all. So, it's been tough for Kathy to plan. She did some great, I guess, some kind of a game that you had to really think, some kind of thinking game you had to put together. find all kinds of different Bible verses and whatnot. And then she gave them all prizes. I think they get ice cream or something. If they get to a certain level, they get something else. So she did a lot of virtual stuff, very, very little in person. But like they drove around and delivered our bags, which was a nice service project for them. They were supposed to go around and paint people's fences. They wouldn't allow it. So our church is very limiting what they can do.
Another resource that was shared from APSI, it was called Montreat at Home. And if you're not familiar with Montreat, it is a Presbyterian conference center in North Carolina. And in the summers, it's like a little mini triennium. And kids from all over the country come, and there's a middle school week and a high school week. And so they have, if you, maybe I can pull up my, my notes that I sent out to you all. I tried to make them a little more detailed today. But if you go to Montreat at Home resources, it's basically the middle school and high school youth conference materials. I don't know how much they're charging, if they're charging for those. Kind of if anybody of you knew anything about Camp Johnsonburg, was doing that camp at home box.
Yeah.
So I think it might be similar to that, where you will get materials that you can then use with your middle school and high school youth, I guess virtually. So that was something I wasn't familiar with that was shared with me. This compassion camp from Illustrated Ministry, it's a VBS and it's geared up to 5th grade, but I think it could probably be used for all ages because it's about taking care of each other. It's a real mission-oriented VBS. And so that can also be used as a virtual Sunday school. The other two things under this APSI conversation, the gominnow.com, it's a Christian streaming service. So it's kind of like Netflix. So it's a monthly subscription fee. But all the shows on there are like Christian cartoon type shows for kids. So that would be something probably you could put a newsletter and let families know if they're interested. And then this pursuegodkids.org. I'd never heard of that one either. But some of the people are using that in our denomination. And the church can buy a subscription for it for $25 a month. Again, I don't know too much about it other than they have information on the website.
Carrie, can you scroll down your screen? I can't see past compassion camp.
Okay.
Scroll it down because there's
Were
nothing.
you reading? Oh, there's nothing there. Okay, so you're just speaking.
Oh, so where it says APSI conversation.
Gotcha.
Right. I went out of order. Go Minnow,
Okay.
Pursue God, Montreat, and Compassion Camp. Sorry.
Thank you.
I went out of order. So those are for younger kids, which doesn't go back to Robin's question of older kids, but those are all things out there. I had shared with the groups as well that a lot of curriculums are rewriting themselves to be virtual this year. So within the PCUSA, we have Growing in God's Love and Growing in Grace and Gratitude. They are both been recreated for virtual learning. And if you want to know more about Grace and Gratitude, they have their own webinar here. That's the link for the webinar called Children and Youth Faith Formation During a Pandemic. So it's about 26 minutes or so, and it just talks about the curriculum and how they've adapted it to be used at home. And then, of course, the PCUSA still has the We Believe workshops. My church uses Deep Blue, and when we had our meeting Tuesday night, we discovered that they are not providing the curriculum that we usually use. It's all digital download only. So we usually order, like every kid gets their own little magazine, and we love it, but that's not available this fall. So there's one called Celebrate Wonder, which is connected somehow with Deep Blue as well, and it does provide that for the kids. And the website information for that one was something that has 4 webinars, is called reimaginesundayschool.com. So we might order the Celebrate Wonder for our younger kids, and then I use Submerge for my older kids, which is,
I think I used Submerge last year too.
okay. Yeah, it's for the middle school kids.
Yeah. for our middle
And
school.
I might just buy the summer ones, because the summer, they were still creating the magazines in the summer. So I
Okay.
might just order summer 2020. And that way, if we do have to go virtual, they just take their little books home with them and they have it, or if we're still together. Other curriculums out there, group, right when you go on the group website, there's a COVID survey, so you can punch in the questions and answer, size of your church, what you're looking for, virtual, in person, whatever, and then it tells you this is probably our best curriculum for you. So the 2 that are best for virtual are called Dig In and Simply Loved. And then group has put together their own safety video. So, if you want to kind of watch and see what they recommend. So like one of the things they recommend is, if you do in person, that all the kids have their own supplies in a container that's labeled with their name. And so there's no sharing of anything. So we're going to create like a scissor, glue stick, marker, whatever type of bin per kid. So I have all these great takeout containers to do that. And then we have little worship bags that, if we're going to do crafts, we'll just fill the little worship bags with the craft items. And so whether we do it at home or at the church, that can be delivered, or the families can come pick up their little worship bag. And then for any of your families through the end of August, I have not had a chance yet to get into this, but because I'm putting worship together at this time, Cokesbury Kids is doing on Facebook 9:30 a virtual Sunday school. So like, we don't offer Sunday school in the summer. So like, if
Yeah,
my
we don't
families
either.
want something, hey, here it is. Go do this.
You know
So
what age that is? You know what age?
it's for a younger kid, elementary.
Elementary? Okay.
Yeah. And even if you've missed them, if you go into their videos, they're all still there. So like, if I wanted to sit down with my daughter tonight and watch one, we could just go in and watch one.
Okay.
You don't have to be live at 9:30 to watch it.
Okay.
So I want to add those that you guys just mentioned, because I am keeping this. Cindy, what did you say you're using?
Lessons that work.
Lessons that work. And you said it's Episcopalian?
It's Episcopal, and it's lessonsthatwork.com or .org. If you Google it, it'll come right up. It's
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And the other one was Sermons for Kids, right?
Yep, .com.
That's a
Okay.
good one, yeah.
Somebody else mentioned something they were using? Okay. There's a guy that it's called the Dollar Store Children's Sermons. And he is great for ideas too. Just here, I'll add him. Dollar Store
He's fantastic.
Children Sermons.
Oh, wow.
I get a lot of ideas from him.
Someone also mentioned Takeout Church.
Oh, good. That I knew there was another one. Thank you.
So Takeout Church was I found it on Pinterest. And so like a flat Jesus, it was a free resource. So it was like a paper doll of Jesus that they could cut out and color and take it with them wherever they go. Not that we're going any place. And then so I got takeout boxes and I put that in there with like I found a Skittle poem. I put that in there with Skittles. And then I put some coloring pages and some craft projects. just for the very beginning to keep them occupied. And then, that was kind of fun. So
Yeah.
something like that in September. I'm going to do something like that again.
That's a great idea.
That sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. Camp Johnsonburg sent a flat fork
Okay.
to represent the fork in the
Fork in the
road
road.
when you're.
Yep.
So anyway, I was
There.
like, oh my gosh, this is so silly. And my 9-year-old has like fallen in love with this fork. So we're Flat Fork has come to church and she's held it up in the pulpit. So I've taken a picture of Flat Fork in the pulpit.
Funny.
So you never know what's going to click with these kids, right? Like,
Right.
you never know. Um,
Flat fork.
you got yours. That's it.
The kit, I think, is great. I mean, I just got one for me and then gave the resource to my parents. But I think the kit is phenomenal. I mean, it's really fun. They have a little plunger for your
Yeah.
phone.
Oh, that's so cute.
It is. It's really cute. And then they have a little coaster, which I thought was really cute. But then they have a seed project, and they gave you 2 bandanas that you can use for masks. So it's cute. It really is cute. And a family devotional, which was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So my daughter has been using the neck mask as a
Okay.
tube top.
Oh, it's a tube top.
I'm like, I don't think that's what it's meant for.
That's too funny.
But it's cute.
Designer.
It's cute. She's tiny, so it fits.
I just bought this book for my older kids, and it's How Great Is Our God, 100 Indescribable Devotions About God and Science, so that I could try to do some science lessons, and it comes with a Bible verse for each. I thought that might get them engaged for my Tuesday program. And I could even probably make little projects to send home in my kits with this stuff.
Called How Great Is Our God?
How Great Is Our God. I bought it at Barnes & Noble. Louis Giglio, it's Giglio, is the author. And then,
Okay.
you know what else? Where my VBS this year was Who Is My Neighbor? And that's what we are preaching on this whole year. That's our theme for the year, is Who Is My Neighbor? So I got a bunch of really good Mr. Rogers devotionals and stories. And so I'm going to be incorporating those a lot in my Tuesday midweek program.
Yeah, someone else had mentioned on APSI that they definitely gear their Sunday school towards what the sermons, the preaching is going to be around. So some people like the lectionary, and the Sunday schools often come in the lectionary, but sometimes pastors like to vary things, and so to get the Sunday school to be able to connect is a little more challenging.
Yeah.
One lady said they're going to do the Beatitudes, and I think it's the Illustrated Ministries one has a whole thing on the Beatitudes. So that's great. So yeah, there's a lot of Mr. Rogers stuff. There's the 2 movies and.
Yeah. So this one is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and it's the poetry of Mr. Rogers. So sometimes I read one of these poems and I come up with I'm an artist, so I come up with an art project to go with it. And so I post those online. And then this one is Everything I Need to Know I Learned from Mr. Rogers. Also very, very poignant, kind of simple lessons that are easy for kids to understand. And they're great resources. I got these both online on Amazon.
They also have sermon notes for kids already printed up. They make one for non-readers, and then they make one for readers. So if you did have family worship at some point with social distancing, they would have things to do on this, find a certain word in the sermon. The younger kids would draw the pastor behind the pulpit, that kind of thing. But it's sermon notes for kids.
Actually, that would sound like an interesting thing, because that would actually force the kids to listen to the church service if we're virtual and they're not in church.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna do this fall, because I always video for my kitchen, and I have this owl cookie jar and the kids all like it. So I'm gonna hide the cookie jar all around the kitchen, and then I'm gonna have some kind of a prize or something if they watch and they find where the owl is hidden.
Find it, hide it in the cookie jar.
That's good.
Yeah, it sounds like there's one of mine. The creative ideas to kind of get them engaged and not just let's just sit down and do our lesson and craft, but make it more of a game that they look forward to. Yeah, because there's some really creative ideas.
Well, this was good as a networking, because I probably would never have come off the path of this stuff.
Right.
You know, like, these are things to think about, and I can take back to my committee before I approach session again.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no simple answer for this, so we're all kind of just experimenting, but it is great to hear other ideas and what materials people use, curriculums. Yeah, because it's uncharted, right?
Definitely
So
uncharted.
I hate to not get that spiritual formation to our children. So because they're stressed too. I mean, they're they need to have that spiritual nurture.
Oh, you just said something to me. I'm the CE of our church, but one of our kids is doing a Scout religion badge. And he asked me to do something, and I haven't gotten back to him. And he's like, oh, mid-month. So I'm realizing today's the 13th.
Something else I'm doing in September is a cooking with the Bible. So I thought it would be a way for families with their kids to kind of get involved. So there's a Bible devotion to go along with a recipe, and I'm going to try to tie it into our sermons. And then I think I'm only going to start out doing it once a month. I'll have the recipe and then give everybody the ingredient list ahead of time, and then they can cook whatever that recipe is to go along with the Bible verse / story.
Where did you find that?
Yeah.
If you hold on, I'll run up and get my books. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I just went to look for a book too. Robin, this again, some of the older kids, I don't know how much they would appreciate it or not, but prayer stations, I know at Triennium, they always set up the prayer station room, and the kids tend to gravitate to that. There's a book that I have with a whole bunch of prayer station ideas. And so I had brought it home during the pandemic, thinking I could maybe email out, okay, this week's prayer station is this. And because I've been so overwhelmed with everything else, I never got to it. But, now that.
When you find a book, when you find it, put it in your notes as the title.
Yes, I will. My dining room table is a mess. It's
mine, but mine's not with CE stuff. It's all with craft projects.
So this
one
book
that's on prayer stations. I can't even remember what it's called.
Reading the Bible.
Eating the Bible.
Eating the Bible.
The Bible, I love it.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And this one's the food and feasts of Jesus. But what I like about this one, the first one, first of all, the recipes are easy, and you can do them as elaborate or as easy as you want. And so it has a Bible verse. It gives you a little bit of history about the ingredients. And then you can make the recipes, which is what I'm going to do. Make it fun for the families.
Nice.
Yeah, I think
Good
that's
idea.
I found mine. It's called Sacred Space.
Okay.
So I'll put that Dan Gibble or Kimball, Kimball. So I'll put that in the notes as well. But there's a lot of them in here. And it comes with a CD that gives you even more information.
Mhm.
So it has Advent, it has Lent, but it has other times of the year as well.
Nice.
And then I put some together for my mission trip last year on Matthew 25. I don't know if any of your churches are Matthew 25 churches, but we did prayer stations on hunger, thirst, stranger, the Matthew 25 things as well that I wrote myself for our mission staycation. We did a local mission project week. But my high school kids, I mean, they asked me to do, they wanted it. They were like, we really want you to do prayer stations. So my kids enjoy them. So,
You are a Matthew 25 church.
we are.
You
Mhm.
are.
Yeah. And that's my hat within the Presbytery as well. So if your church is interested and would like some more information, I'll do a little advertisement here for Matthew 25.
Okay.
And I also will do an advertisement if your church is interested with being an Earth Care congregation. And that's another way to involve some of the older kids is environmental ministry. So I was hoping to get a Zoom call put together. We have a lot of churches interested in the Earth Care. So that's on my to-do list maybe in September, because you have to apply by February to be an Earth Care congregation. So, but it's another great way for the older kids to have some leadership and to look at the Bible through the environmental issues as well.
I would love the information on both of those, Carrie.
Okay.
Thanks.
Are those both through the Presbyterian Church or outside?
Matthew 25 and Earth Care are both part of PCUSA.
Okay.
Yep. So that will be my, once I get my kids started in school September, then I'll think about that for late September stuff. So, but I don't know if there's any other questions. You all have a great resources. Thank you so much for sharing ideas and your creativity and your love for our children and for sharing the faith with them and the nurture that they so need. So I appreciate all your work.
Carrie, I'm not on that email list. Would you be willing to share the document that you were updating, the one that you had shared your screen with?
Absolutely, Stephen.
Could you email that to me too? Thank you.
I sure will. Yep.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Absolutely.
Does the APCE meet regularly, like for something like this? Or just, was that, I missed that.
Right. Yeah. So I know they do the once a year conference, but that's all I know about them. And so I think it was our conversation that first night that I was like, I wonder if APSI has any resources. So I went to their website and I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. They're doing this webinar on this exact same topic. What they did though is they took us, there were like 65 of us, and they broke us like into little small groups of 8 to 10 and put us in little groups. And then we did the same thing as what we just did here. We just shared obstacles and successes. So there wasn't a professional telling us this is the best way to go. But that's where I got all those other ideas or resources or from that group that the little group I got put into.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. You all have my email, so feel free to, just contact me if you have any other questions that might come up. And
thank you all very much, and thank you, Carrie.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll just close this in a quick prayer. gracious and loving God, as we are on the other side now of a tropical storm that interfered with our time to gather, we just give you thanks that we are continuing forward. Just bless this group and all the other congregations out there that are preparing for the fall, and for the ways in which we would like to find ways to plant those seeds of faith that you are calling us to nurture and care for. So inspire us, help us be creative, and we give you thanks for being able to share our ideas with each other. We ask this all in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
And
All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a wonderful